Hey there! Welcome back to another review, this time of the 2016 horror film Don't Breathe, which according to many critics is the best horror film of the year, and to one critic, the best horror film in the last 20 years. And I'm sitting here wondering, really? Really? This movie, Don't Breathe, this is the best horror film that you've seen in the past 20 years. I mean, I know it's just a personal opinion and all of that. I'm just gonna say I definitely disagree. I can think of like 50 horror films that are better that have come out in the past 20 years than this. Not right off the top of my head, but if I looked at a list, I'm pretty sure I could come up with 50. Off the top of my head, I could just come up with ones like Behind the Mask, Rise of Leslie Vernon, uh, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, It Follows, The Babadook, Housebound. I mean, there's probably some other ones I can come up with. The Conjuring. I mean, I fail to see why this is the best horror film in the past 20 years. I really do. And I know that's plastered all over the film's poster, and for good reason. I mean, it catches your eye, doesn't it? Um, ABC's of Death. ABC's of Death. Well, I liked it more than this. ABC's of Death 2. I thought it was an excellent horror anthology. I'd say that's better than this. So yeah, if I spent time, I could probably come up with 50. I mean, that's like you go back 20 years, you go to 2006, 1996. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I really, this is not the best horror film in the past 20 years. I call bullshit on that. It's not even the best horror film of the year to me. I know I'll probably get flack for it, but this is my opinion. If you like this movie, that's cool. Just like if you like Suicide Squad or any of the movies that I review and you enjoy and you actually like, then I don't have a problem with you liking movies that I don't. I mean, that's not, that's fine. To each their own. Like I've said many times, different opinions are what makes this world interesting. And this is definitely a different opinion. I'm definitely going against the norm here because this is a really critically acclaimed film. And first off, right off the bat, I wasn't that impressed by the trailers, except for the visuals. And, well, that's kind of how I ended up feeling about the movie. I wasn't that impressed by it. I wasn't. It really was it was very underwhelming to me. It was underwhelming. It wasn't that impressive. And I honestly thought it was pretty lame and fairly forgettable. It was barely even a horror movie. I have a hard time calling this a horror film. Because this is more of a thriller. It's more of a thriller than it is a horror movie. And I've seen this concept done to death. Enough of the home invasion movies. And that's all it is. It's another home invasion movie with admittedly a couple interesting twists and a good performance by Stephen Lang, but even that's inconsistent, which I'll get to later. I'll get to why later. But it's a film that, just like Suicide Squad, another movie, or some of these other horror films from this year. I mean, I would say I like The Conjuring 2 more, but that's only because I really liked the last half, but the first half was disappointing. So, this is one of those horror films that I just thought was just very disappointing and dull. And it just goes to show me that horror films in the mainstream nowadays, especially in theaters, are just getting worse and worse. And part of me is wondering, are critics like creaming themselves over this because it's well directed, it's got good production values, it's got some good shots, and admittedly has some tense moments? Are they possibly overvaluing it because of what it's competing against? I mean, it's competing against shit like Ouija and The Darkness. Of course, it's better. I mean, I'm just wondering. I'm not saying they are. It's just something that's I gotta wonder. I mean, are a lot of horror critics, are they going in and saying, well, this one, it's got some good direction and it's got some tense scenes, some decent performances, nice throwback to some old-fashioned type of horror. It's not a jump scare fest. It's not, another paranormal fucktivity movie. But I mean, it's not like it's competing with anything. It's not like it's that hard to be better than those movies. And is it better? Yeah, it is better than those movies. But not a lot. Not a lot better to me because overall, I just wasn't that enthused. I wasn't that impressed. I wasn't that entertained. And I sure as fuck wasn't scared. So it's a little bit of a rant. It's like Suicide Squad was. There's some things I liked about it, but a lot of stuff that I didn't. So it's like a review and a rant. So buckle in, strap in, get ready. I know I've been doing a lot of these. There's just going to be a lot of my upcoming reviews are going to be like this. A lot of the movies I've watched lately have been movies that made me feel exactly like this, conflicted and disappointed and bummed out and just like, why? I mean, you could have been so much better, but no, you had to fuck it up. And but it's just my opinion. Anyway, the film is directed by Fede Alvarez, who directed the Evil Dead remake, which I like to call the Evil Dead fuck. Not a fan of that movie. I'll give it another shot sometime down the road, because I do need to review the Evil Dead films again because of copyright claims that it forced me to delete my other reviews. So if I ever get time, because I got a bunch of stuff. I mean, I got this review. I'm gonna check out Lights Out, and after that, I'm gonna do a mini marathon of spider movies, like killer spider movies, and then I'm gonna go into Child's Play and Phantasm. Probably Phantasm first and Child's Play. And if I have some time, then Evil Dead. But I don't know yet. I don't know what my schedule is for right now. I mean, I know it's the 21st and October 31st. So Halloween is like it's a 10 days away. So I'm gonna have to like get really busy in order to even end up making my schedule the way it is right now. But anyway, Don't Breathe is a film that, yes, I gave it a shot because good reviews. I mean, like I said, I wasn't that really super psyched for it to begin with, but I was like, okay, some good reviews, some people I trust, who knows, maybe I'll like it. And it just didn't grab me. Didn't grab me. So yeah, it's directed by Fede Alvarez, and I'd probably say I like this more than Evil Dead, but that's not really saying much. Although Evil Dead did have some good gore, but then it had some of the same problems I had with this. Another film that's it's well directed, it's well edited, the production values are sound, they're good, but the script is where it lacks, and the characters is where it lacks. In particular, the characters. So Fede Alvarez, he wrote the film along with Rodo Saguiez, and I don't know if it said his last name or Saguiez, and he also helped produce it along with Sam Raimi and Robert Tapert. Uh, it's one of those Ghost House Pictures films, and it features a score by Roque Banos. I liked the score. That's another thing I liked about the movie. See, there were things I liked about it. I would probably say I liked this more than Suicide Squad because there were more things about it that I liked. I'd say it's just a notch below average for me. But that's what's so frustrating about this film, is that because of these main focus points for me, that it just doesn't end up working as well as I'd hoped, or end up getting as good of a score as I'd hoped for these particular main points. And what these main points are when I review a movie, there's three main things. There's story, the script, there's characters, and then there's of course the entertainment value. And of course there's other things too that I throw into my critical thinking and my review process. But the main things are story and characters and the entertainment value. And the story I thought was lacking, and I thought the characters were severely lacking. The characters are one of the worst part of this film, and it's because there wasn't anyone that was likable. There was no one to root for, so the film had no suspense to me. It just dragged on and on. It was only 88 minutes, but it felt like it was 3 hours because there were no characters that I gave a shit about. What is up with these horror films lately having main characters, having horrible people as your main characters who then encounter an equally horrible person? It's like, why should I give a flying fuck about what happens to these people? These people were First off, these people are thieves. And they don't have much character development except for maybe Rocky. The other characters, they have zero character development whatsoever. So there's no reason to give a shit about them to begin with. And I mean, that's what's so frustrating about this film is you have this really improper failed dynamic going on here. Antagonists versus antagonists. It just doesn't work. At least to me, anyway. I know some people really like that. It's different. It's unique. To each their own. To me, that just doesn't work. That type of storytelling fails every single time to me. Because I'm fine with characters being somewhat flawed, but them being thieves is too much of a flaw to me. Too much of a flaw. Because that's all you don't see that much about them. And they're not likable. Even Rocky, who you're like, oh, you got to feel bad for her because of the situation she's in, and she wants to get her sister into a better situation, and she's gonna do that by robbing people. I mean, that makes her come across as a really shitty character, and she's just selfish. She's just a selfish bitch. Great. Yeah, I really care about what happens to her. So anyway, yeah, I mean that's the main thing that just this film totally just fails for me is with its characters. So the film stars Jane Levy as Rocky. I think she was also in Evil Dead. Stephen Lang plays Norman Nordstrom, the blind man. Stephen Lang, I mean, Jane Levy, her performance, what she's asked to do, is fine, but she she doesn't have a lot to work with. So I kind of want to give her a little bit of praise because the performance I thought was pretty good for what she was asked to do. But then again, she wasn't a likable character. And that's not Jane Levy's fault. That's the script's fault. Stephen Lang plays the blind man. I thought he was great until he opened his mouth because then he started sounding like the Frankenstein monster. That was a really good performance until he started opening his mouth. He was like, let me take this turkey baster and I'm gonna stick it in your pussy. I mean, that's honestly what he sounded like to me. So, Dylan Minnette is also in it. Fucking dumbass from Goosebumps. This guy can't act. He's a flat ironing board. He's a board. I don't know why he gets roles. I think it's because he looks good. He's good looking. Wow. He's good looking. Yeah, that's the reason he should be getting roles in films as an actor, is because he looks good. Wow, we have really fallen to a new low when it comes to casting actors in films nowadays. When he looks hot. Let's put him in the movie. Why don't you cast underwear models in your films? Oh, you already did, because Dylan Minnette has all the acting talent of an underwear model for Calvin Klein. I mean, this guy, what is up? Why? You couldn't find a better actor than this guy? I mean, I find that hard to believe. What happened in the days of Gene Hackman and Rutger Hauer and Roy Scheider and oh, those days are gone because we need to have people who are nice to look at on the screen. Oh, their acting talent is secondary. What they look like, well, that's what we want the most. Like that's the first thing that we look for out of an actor. And it's also that way with women too. I mean, it happens both ways with both genders. It's just kind of frustrating. And I don't think you should be getting roles in films just because of your looks. I'm sorry. Or who you know. Maybe Dylan Minnette knows somebody, and that's why he gets these roles. But to me, he hasn't earned it. He hasn't showed me anything that makes me think that he deserves these roles. Zero. Because as far as I've seen, he has zero acting talent. He shows no emotion. He acts like a robot. Maybe you should cast him as a robot in a movie. Maybe it'd work then, because that's within his acting abilities. Daniel Zovatto plays Money, who's just some thug guy. Who I guess it has a sort of relationship with Rocky, but it's pretty Rocky because he's saying things like, "She's my bitch. Don't mess with my bitch." It's just like, what? Why are you calling her your bitch? I mean, if you like her, why would you be calling somebody that you are might? It's insinuating he's in love with her. Why would you be calling her a bitch? She's my bitch, boy. Get the fuck away from my bitch. It's just like, he's unlikable. He's the first one to die, too. And he doesn't have much character development, other than he's just a thug. He's a thug. That's it. It's a thug who does thug things. Wow. Franciska Törőcsik plays Cindy Roberts. I think she's the girl who was kidnapped. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there's a few other actors and actresses, but they're not really that important. So this film cost about 9.9 million. They did a good job with their low budget. I mean, 9.9 million is not a lot for a film that ends up getting a wide release. And it made a good amount of money in the box office. It made 147.2 million. Good. All right, good for the movie. You know, it's nice. I'd rather a film like this make money than Ouija, but still, this still isn't very good. This still is it's still pretty bad to me. It's not the worst ever. And these are like the hardest reviews to do because it's like a movie that, man, it's not something that I hate. I'm not like, oh man, this movie sucks. Well, it kind of does, but it's not entirely terrible. It's not entirely pointless, and that's what's so frustrating about these type of movies. It's like, I mean, there's a lot of good here, but I can't say I like the movie as a whole because of all these other problems, these crippling flaws, at least for me personally. So, Don't Breathe's plot is pretty straightforward, I'll give it that, although it does have some twists and turns here and there, and yes, there's spoilers. You follow my channel for any amount of time, you'd already know that. I can't go in depth on a movie if I don't use spoilers. So anyway, it opens up with this really gorgeous shot, this overhead shot that does a slow zoom in on this guy who's dragging this body across the asphalt and leaving a streak of blood behind. And I actually thought it was a really nice way to open up the film, and it kind of went all downhill from there, though, for me, because the first 20-30 minutes, I mean, they're trying to build up the characters, but they have nothing there. Except for Rocky was abused when she was a kid by her parents and locked in a trunk. And she's trying to make things better for her sister, to get her out of a bad situation. That's really all you know about her. And so she's resorted to petty crimes along with her friends, Alex and Money. And Dylan Minnette, we don't know what his thing is. Seems like he's pretty well off. Maybe he's having a bad time with his dad? I don't know. There's really not much there that talks about what his problems are, or what his deal is, or why he's doing these robberies. As far as I know, he's hanging out with this crew because he has a crush on Jane Levy's character Rocky. And that's it. That's all his character is. He's a naive lover boy. Money, he's just a thug. That's it. Those are your characters. They decide they're not making enough money doing these little jobs, so decide to do a bigger job. They find out that there's some army veteran who happens to be blind as well, who's living in a Detroit neighborhood because they live in Detroit, of course, because Detroit is a slum, which is, yeah, it is. I mean, RoboCop sadly was right. They predicted the future, sadly, when it comes to the future of Detroit. So they scope out this guy's house. They want to get $300,000 in cash because that's where the cash is in his house. It was given to him as a settlement after a wealthy young woman, Cindy Roberts, killed his daughter in a car accident. So they stake out the house, and it seems like for what seems like forever, and then they finally get into the house, and they drug the blind man and his dog. The entrances into the house are locked, so Rocky enters the house through a small window. Of course, they drug the blind man's dog, and then they go in and try to drug the blind man too, but it doesn't work out. So they enter the house through a small window and lets the other two in. Rocky is the one who enters the house. The group then searches the house for money, but they're unable to find it, assuming it's behind a locked door. Money shoots the lock. Noise wakes up the blind man. This is after Money, I guess, unsuccessfully tried to pass it and make him pass out, like made the dog pass out. So the blind man then attacks Money and kills him with his own gun. And the way that at first I was like, oh, that's different, but then I'm like, oh, that's really too much. That's too artistic of a shot to really make the death really have any weight. It's like slow mo and like, gun like you don't really see the gun being fired or something. It's like a zoom in sort of weird shot on Money's face while a slow mo bullet goes through his cheek or something, and then he's just dead. And you didn't really know that much about the guy anyway to begin with. It's kind of an ass. The actor was fine. Like that was what he was asked to do. Be an asshole. Be a thug. He played a good thug. He died, and then I was like, okay, this is what it's gonna be? You know, these jerk off thugs or these thieves are breaking in this guy's house. He's a Vietnam vet. He's gonna kick their ass, take names, and kill them in various different ways. All right, I'm all for that. No, no, I should have known that's not what it was gonna be from the beginning because I spent 15, 20 minutes building up these thieves and trying to make you sympathize with them. I mean, that's a big mistake from a storytelling point of view. Oh, let's sympathize with thieves. They're thieves. I don't give a fuck. They're breaking the law. Like, I'm supposed to sympathize with them? So, oh, these poor thieves. None of these people have to. I mean, the thug guy, money, maybe he needs to do that to make money because it seems like he might be living, in a pretty bad situation. And yeah, Rocky seems to be in a kind of bad thing too, but you know what? She has a perfect out in Alex. He seems like he's well off. He has a crush on her. Well, they could get together. He could get a job. They could move out. They could move into someplace together. She could take her sister with her, but she never even considers that. She's just right off the bat, let's steal this blind man's money. And I'm supposed to sympathize with these characters. I'm supposed to give a shit about these characters. No, I don't. I'm sorry. I do not give a shit. Especially when you break and enter into somebody's home, they have every right to shoot you or to kill you. I don't know, and then it turns into sort of a cat and mouse thing where they get locked in, and it's now the blind man versus Alex and Rocky. But I understand what it's trying to do. It's trying to build suspense, but it doesn't build any suspense. It's just nonstop suspense. And that would work if there were characters that I cared about, but there aren't any. So then it just drags and drags. And then the only thing that I really notice is some good-looking shots. Some nice cinematography, some good editing, some good camera tricks. I like the scene when the blind man turns off the lights, and then I love the way that the film is shot during that sequence in the cellar, and it's all black and it's shot in black and white. I like that a lot. So that's what frustrates me so much is there are some really nice gems, some really great sequences in this film. and some really ingenious direction and cinematography and camera work. But it's all for naught to me because it's in a forgettable story with really unlikable characters. You need good characters. You need likable characters. You need relatable characters. Characters that you grow with, that you bond with, in order to make your suspense thriller horror movie actually suspenseful, thrilling, and scary. Because if you don't do that, then it's just a boring stalk and slash film. You're just waiting for somebody to die. That's all you're doing. Oh, good direction. Nice. But I'm still bored. I'm just waiting for something to happen. So anyway, it's kind of like the movie's kind of like a blind person just stumbling around. It's like, oh man, it stumbles into the good scene, and then it'll just fall on its ass later. It is. It's like a blind person moving around in the dark. And I have to admit, I mean, the way that they portrayed this blind man was a bit out there. Like, who does he think he is? Stick? Is he Daredevil? What did Fede Alvarez think? Oh well, he's blind. That must mean he has superpowers, super sense. But anyway, yeah, these people are having a hard time like overpowering this blind old man. But it's Stephen Lang, so I have to say he was better in this than in Avatar. But that's not really saying much. So yeah, it's just this talking there. There's a few scenes here and there that I liked and some good direction, but I don't care about the fates of these characters. And it has like this fake out death with Alex. Like you think he might have gotten stabbed by some shears because he got his ass kicked. That was like a crowd pleasing moment for me because I was like, yeah, beat his ass. That's for goosebumps, you motherfucker. That's for goosebumps. Boom, boom. And no, he's not dead. It's a fake out death. For some reason, the film wanted to trick you and made it so, oh, he wasn't stabbed with the shears. It was, with not really shears, with the hedge clippers. He wasn't stabbed with the hedge clippers. It was the dead body of money. Like, the fuck was that? That was pointless. And so he's still alive, and then you're just waiting for him to die, and then it's oh, he gets shot, surprise death near the end. I'm like, I don't give a shit because I don't fucking care about this guy. I honestly had hoped the film killed him off right then and there. I would have admired the movie, but you had the balls to kill off the guy early. Good. Nope. So, and then you have like the reveal, the twists. I'll give the film this. I did not see this twist coming where the old man, the blind man had the girl who ran over his daughter tied up in his basement, and then the whole twist was that he impregnated her and she was going to give him another baby. Like, that's the whole thing. I didn't see that coming, but at the same time, I didn't really care for it because that's the moment where the film completely fell apart to me. Up until that point, I'm like, okay, all right. Robert's going into this guy's house. He's going to try to survive. Then the focus is going to shift to him. The focus is going to shift to the blind man, and we're going to sympathize with him. And it kind of like the movie Late Phases. If you want to see a movie of the blind man, that movie's awesome. That's an excellent film. That's another horror film that's better than this. That came out a couple years ago. So, definitely within the last 20 years. So, that's what I thought it was going to be. You sympathize with the blind man, and then it's going to be him defending himself throughout the whole movie. No. No, he's crazy too. He's not only crazy, but he's a rapist, and he's a kidnapper. Great. Now there's literally no one in this movie that I care about. That I care what happens to. And that's when the movie just lost all sense of suspense and intrigue and thrills to me. It just became a movie where I was just admiring some artistic shots now and then. And that's it. And then you get to another scene later in the film, which is like after Dylan Minnette was knocked out for a while. And Rocky gets, because the girl that he kidnapped gets shot in the neck while the blind man is trying to shoot at the kids in the cellar. So she dies. And so now, of course, the blind man, he wants a replacement for her. So he ties up Rocky in that contraption thing, and it kind of like suspends her in midair and looks like a straitjacket or something. And then he gets some scissors and he pulls out, and this is supposed to be terrifying, and I'm just like, this is terrifying nowadays. This is horror for you folks. This is horror now. A vial of cum. Yeah, the blind man's cum with a pubic hair in it. And then he's got a turkey baster, and that's what I was talking about either earlier. I'm gonna shove this turkey baster into your pussy. Uh, it was just like, really? I thought that was ludicrous. This is fucking laughable. This is supposed to. I understand if it was me in that situation, alright, that would be kind of freaky and pretty scary. But I mean, on film, it doesn't come across very well. It comes across as just absolute absurdity. That's the new face of horror. Stephen Lang with a turkey baster full of his own cum, ready to shove it in somebody's pussy, or shove it in Rocky's pussy. And of course, then later you have a scene where it's really uncomfortable. It's just nasty. That's all it is, just nasty. It's not really scary. It's nasty. And then she ends up shoving the turkey baster in his mouth, and he gets a mouthful of his own cum. I'm like, what is this? This is like as bad as shit like in August Underground. I've expected Stephen Lang to be going to grab Dylan Minnette and be like, sniff her ass! Sniff it! Sniff her ass! Stick this turkey baster up your ass! But I just... what has happened to the horror genre? Really? So, then we have like multiple different endings. It's like, oh, Dylan Minnette gets shot. Who the fuck cares? Or I think that's kind of, or Rocky escapes after Dylan Minnette gets shot, and then she gets in a car, and then the blind man's dog like teleports right where she is, and she has to find an ingenious way of locking the dog in the trunk and escaping from the dog, and then gets the money back. But then she gets fucking knocked the fuck out by the blind man again. It was like, we're just padding the running time here. They have Cujo attack her. And I'm like, if I want to see a scene where a dog attacks somebody in a car, I'll just watch Cujo. So, and then yeah, and it also reminded me of People Are Under the Stairs, and that's a much better film. That film is 10 times better than this Game Changer, this groundbreaking horror film for the ages. That has a dog in it that runs around and attacks people. That has, some crazy people in a house. That film is 10 times better. This just made me want to watch People Under the Stairs or Housebound. Or Wait Until Dark. This movie just wanted me to wait until I fart. Wait until I fart. I mean, really, because it's just like, maybe that'll wake me up. Stench. Wake me up on my boredom. Because I have a story that falls apart with, oh, he's the cum guy. Ooh, blind man is now, he's the cum man. And then he's coming to a theater near you. He's coming in your face. He's coming in your ass. And then the dog comes in and attacks her, and then she gets knocked out. He drags her back to his place. And then she finally gets a moment of realization. He's blind. I need to distract him with loud noises. So he uses the remote to turn on his alarm system, disorientates him enough. She fights him off. She escapes. She buys a train ticket or something to take her sister with her to LA. And then she sees on the news that the blind man survived the attack. He's still alive. End credits. That's Don't Breathe. That's really all it is. It's not that much of a movie. I was like, what is so amazing about this film? Anyway, I don't know what to say about Don't Breathe except it's rated out of 5 stars. I'd give it 2.5 out of 5. Like I said, it's just below, it's a notch below average, mainly for the characters and for the story. It just, the story was inconsistent, and the characters I thought really sucked. I thought they were really awful. And if it had better characterization, if it had like 30 more minutes, like to actually give these characters more weight to them, or give them a moment where they could actually learn and grow as characters, and learn. There never was any moment for that. There was never any time for them to do that. It just missed opportunities all across the board. I personally think they should have this should have been a take on Assault on Precinct 13 and have it center around the blind man, Stephen Lang's character, and not make him the cum man. Uh, make him just a normal guy who's had a rough time in life, lost his daughter, and have something. Maybe he encountered some street gang earlier. He got involved with something he shouldn't have, and then have it be like I said, Assault on Precinct 13, but with this blind army veteran who's defending himself and his house from the street gang, who's breaking into his house, and he kills them off one by one in various ways, various ingenious ways. I like that movie. I wish they made that movie. I wish Stephen Lang was in a better film. I wish the first part of Stephen Lang's character was in a better film anyway. Not the, I'm the cum man. I'm gonna stick this turkey baster right in your cum hole. Don't come. Oh yeah, actually, no. Yeah, do come. Anyway, yeah. Oh, just do that. I like that idea better. That would be a better film. What do I know? I'm just some guy on YouTube. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review and rant. I know I'm in the minority here with this film when it comes to my thoughts on it, but hey, these are my thoughts. And I'd rather be honest than lie, and this is truthfully how I feel about this film. Anyway, thanks for watching my review and rant of Don't Breathe, and as always, I will see you guys later. See ya.